Hello, heroes and Zargons. I'm Alfred, and this is the Trials and Tribulations of Zargon, a series which details the many ways in which the Emperor's heroes foil Zargon and his minions in their plots to conquer the Empire. In it, we'll review published quests and any house rules or modifications I'm using to make the game more interesting or challenging. My heroes this campaign are played by a single experienced player, so they cooperate, share resources, and are wise to the wiles of Zargon. In this episode, we'll cover Quest 13, the quest for the Spirit Blade. Mentor begins this quest by telling the heroes, "You have awoken the Witch Lord. He will pose a threat serious to the Emperor in the coming war. The Witch Lord must be destroyed before he can bring his army of undead to attack the Emperor's forces. Your goal in this quest is to find the Spirit Blade and return it to safety. Only this ancient weapon can harm the Witch Lord. The Spirit Blade was forged by the dwarves of the World's Edge Mountains and cooled in the elven fountain of Lebanon. The sword now lies somewhere in an ancient, ruined temple." The quest begins for a change in the central room with 4 possible exits into the central ring of corridors. The northern corridor is trapped, while the eastern and western corridors lead to empty rooms. So the only true path forward is south through 3 orcs, a Fimir, and a couple of falling rock traps. From the southern corridor, the heroes can go west, fighting some pitched battles with orcs, goblins, and a Fimir to earn 200 gold coins from a chest. Or they can go west past an empty room with a falling rock trap and a mummy, to a room with a gaggle of skeletons and a spirit blade wielding chaos warrior. Lucky for the heroes, they aren't undead. This dungeon design is pretty good in that it gives the heroes a lot of pathing choices. There's information just outside of each of the doors in the central room to tell heroes which path is the right one. The northern door leads to a clear dead end, while the hero who steps out the eastern door and searches for traps will discover a falling rock trap right in front of the door to the eastern room, marking it as an unlikely path. That leaves the heroes with 2 live options, and they can clear the western path quickly before regrouping to go south. At the bottom of the southern corridor, they again have pathing options, this time without clues, however. The battles in this dungeon were not difficult for heroes with all of the equipments and artifacts available from previous quests. What makes this dungeon interesting and dangerous is the falling rock traps. They haven't been used much in the quest pack to this point, and they do evoke a sense of the ruined temple that the designer was going for. Unfortunately, they work differently in this quest from all of the falling rock traps in the rest of the game. The quest notes for this quest read, "In this quest, the rules for falling block squares are different. Any player who moves into one of these squares must roll a red die. If they roll a 4, 5, or 6, they will lose 1 body point. If the player is equipped with a helmet, they will only lose a body point on a roll of 6. Monsters are not affected by these squares. Do not place falling block tiles onto the game board. Heroes are not blocked by these squares in this quest." This change really highlights the challenges involved in using falling block traps. The danger that makes these traps interesting is that they can cut heroes off from each other. But they are difficult to place, because if the heroes are not careful, they can get cut off from the exit. That is clearly what the designer was trying to avoid, with 2 dead-end rooms that have falling rock traps placed right at the door. Zargon can avoid this problem by making sure there are multiple paths through an area, and then incentivizing heroes to try to cross the falling rock trap in some way, so that when it springs, the hero it springs on has a vested interest in the risk inherent in being cut off from teammates temporarily. Getting heroes to voluntarily cross the threshold again comes down to time pressure. If that pressure is connected to something that motivates the heroes, all the better. A treasure that lessens with time, or a wounded civilian in danger, might push them to jump past a falling rock trap. That's all I've got for now. If you found these conversations helpful, please like and subscribe. And as always, if you have other tips for using falling rock traps, let's plot together in the comments below.